What you're about to hear has never been told in full to Western audiences. 3 North Korean Air Force captains defected mid-flight on Liberation Day, 2024, but the shocking part isn't the escape itself. It's what they saw from inside the cockpit, their own military collapsing from starvation, pilots too malnourished to fly, and a regime so desperate it fired on its own elite officers rather than let them live free. This is their first-hand account of the day. North Korea tried to shoot down its future. For more exclusive testimonies, subscribe and become part of our investigative community. These stories demand witnesses. Something happened that should never happen in North Korea. On August 15, 2024, Korea's liberation. Day 3 fighter jets vanished from the sky. 3 Air Force pilots were on a joint training flight. Then they suddenly turned south. North Korea fired surface-to-air missiles. South Korea scrambled fighters to intercept. So how did a flight like that end? Let me tell you what happened. The first time I took control of a fighter jet, it felt like an honor. In the North, being a pilot means you've made it. I was born in Cheongjin, North Hamgyong Province. I was the son of an ordinary laborer. My father fought in the Korean War. He used to say he bled for this country for me. He sounded proud when he said it. In 2012, at 24, I entered the Air Force. I was tall. My eyesight was good. That's why they picked me. My mother steamed potato rice cakes that day. Her tears looked happy. A pilot in our family felt like a miracle. The neighbors were jealous. Everyone talked about it. Training was brutal. Every day started at 5 in the morning. Before anything else, we did ideological study. We memorized the leader's words like scripture. In the North, everything begins with loyalty training. We recited slogans before meals. We recited them before sleep. Still, pilots lived differently. Most people couldn't even get one bowl of corn porridge. We sometimes ate rice. Sometimes we even had meat. Not every day. But compared to civilians, it was luxury. And it meant something else, too. Sometimes you could sneak a little rice to your family. It was Lunar New Year 2024 when I got leave. I went back home. My father was 64. My mother was 60. They looked old, too old. My mother's rheumatism had gotten worse. She could barely walk. "Can you get me some medicine?" she asked. It felt like my chest was tearing open. Even pilots couldn't get medicine. Not the kind you needed. My wife, Soon-hee, was an elementary school teacher. Our daughter, Yoon-byul, was 8. Our son, Cheolro, was 5. For the holiday, my mother made potato cakes again. The kids lit up like it was a feast. "Grandma, it's delicious," Yoon-byul said. That voice still follows me. On the way back to base, I looked at the sky. I felt proud that I could fly up there. My jet was an old MiG-20, a relic like the kind used decades ago. Outdated, worn, and tired. But a fighter jet is still a fighter jet. At least that's what I told myself. Then the problems started showing. Fuel was short. We hadn't trained properly for months. Some months we flew once, maybe twice if we were lucky. One day, Captain Kang, my classmate, collapsed during flight. Malnutrition. Even pilots were starving now. That was the first time a question slipped into my head. What were we really protecting? I shook it off. I told myself not to think that way. I was a soldier of the party. That's what I repeated. I didn't know then. That small doubt would destroy my life. Spring came in 2024. April. Flowers were blooming. But inside us, winter returned. A pilot in our unit was taken away. He was the best flyer we had. He was dragged to a political prison camp. Why? A USB stick, a tiny one, with a South Korean drama. That morning, the Boibu State Security stormed in. They grabbed him like he was a criminal. "Enemy of the people," they shouted. "Reactionary!" No one spoke. We just watched. A man you flew beside could disappear in seconds. And you learned to breathe like nothing happened. People say South Korea used to do witch hunts, too, calling anyone a communist and dragging them away. North Korea still does it. And in some ways, it's worse. In the North, watching a drama can be a crime. A life-ending crime. That night I met Park Cheol-min. He was also a pilot. 1 year older than me. He sighed and said, "I don't know what we're protecting anymore." My mouth wouldn't open, because I felt the same. My mother's medicine haunted me. I asked everyone I knew. It didn't matter. In our markets, the Jiangmadang, there was nothing. Not the medicine she needed. Sometimes Chinese medicine slipped in, but regular people couldn't touch it. I called my wife. Yes, there are phones in the north, but international calls are impossible. Even domestic calls are watched. How's Yunbiol? I asked. My wife went quiet. Then she said, she keeps saying she's hungry. It felt like something inside me collapsed. My child was crying from hunger, and I was up in the sky, flying an old jet. For what? For who? What kind of defending the nation is this? I couldn't feed my daughter one proper meal. My father fought in the Korean War. 70 years later, we were still hungry. Maybe even worse than before. At least older generations had some hope. We didn't even have that. One day, Choi Young-soo came to me. He was 28. He looked nervous, but there was something desperate in his eyes. Captain, he said softly, can I ask you something? Then he asked, are we really living the right way? That look stays with me. Fear, confusion, and a need so strong it almost hurt to see. I patted his shoulder. Things will get better, I said. It was a lie. I didn't believe it myself. That night I stared at the stars. The same sky covers both Koreas. The same stars. And it hit me how tragic we were. Same blood. Same language. Pointing guns at each other. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. In May, it got worse. Rations were cut in half. Even pilots lived on one bowl of corn a day. It was worse than old ration stories we heard about. Worse than anything I imagined. Captain Kang collapsed again. This time it wasn't in the air. He fell hard, and he didn't get back up. They rushed him to the infirmary. The doctor said something I'll never forget. He needs nutrition. But we don't have medicine. Even the military hospital had no medicine. Then I got a message from home. My mother was getting worse. I took emergency leave and ran back. She could barely move. The rheumatism had spread through her whole body. She held my hand. Xiongwu, just one pill, she whispered. What could I do? At the market, I heard there was Chinese medicine. Then I heard the price, 300 US dollars, more than my entire year's wages. So I did something dangerous. I sold rice from our military rations. That was a serious crime. If they caught me, it wasn't a jail cell. It was a political prison camp. But how could I let my mother die? I sold the rice in a corner of the market. Then I saw a Boebu officer walking past. My heart stopped. He looked right at me. Then he kept walking, like he didn't see. Maybe he felt pity. Maybe he didn't care. I'll never know. Some neighbors quietly helped. They slipped me a handful of corn. They whispered, even a pilot's family is living like this? When I returned to base, the Boebu was waiting. Captain Ri Seong-woo, they said. Where have you been? They started questioning me. It was because of the pilot who got taken away. Did you ever talk to him inappropriately? They asked. I said no. It wasn't fully true. Once or twice, we had talked about the South. We had heard rumors that rice was everywhere, that people ate without fear. If I admitted that, I would disappear next. And then what would happen to my wife? To my children? I met Park Cheol-min and Choi Young-soo in secret, on a hillside behind the base at night. Young-soo spoke first. We can't live like this anymore. Cheol-min nodded. My daughter keeps saying she's hungry, he said. I can't be a father like this. My hands shook when I finally spoke. Can we go south? That one sentence could erase 3 generations. It could destroy everyone connected to us. Silence hung in the air. Cicadas buzzed down the slope. Summer was coming. And for us, summer meant life or death. Cheol-min finally said it. We have planes. A fighter jet, he said quietly. To the south. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could think was this. Under this sky, my family couldn't survive. My mother, my wife, Eunpyeol, Cheolro. It was time to choose. Die where we were, or gamble everything. On July 14th, the call came. It was my father. His voice broke. Your mother, she's gone. I never got the medicine in time. She died before 61. In the South, elders live into their 70s and 80s. My mother couldn't even cross 60. The funeral was poor. No proper coffin. No proper food. We couldn't even make the potato cakes anymore. Potatoes had become precious. My father grabbed my hand. I fought for this country, he said. Was it for this? Then he said something he never would have said before. Seong-woo, live a different life. He didn't say defect. I didn't say it either, but we both understood. At my mother's grave, I dropped to my knees. Forgive me, I whispered. And then I choked, because I knew I might never return. I walked through my old home, the room where I was born, the tree my father and I planted. Everything felt like a final goodbye. I held my children while they slept. I studied their faces. I'll save you, I promised silently. I swear I'll save you. I couldn't tell my wife. The guilt would kill her. But more than that, I feared the punishment. In the North, the family pays for your crime. So I lied. I have to go on a work trip, I told her. She smiled and said, be careful. That smile still tears me apart. Back at base, I met Cheolmin and Young-soo again. It was late at night, outside the perimeter. No moon, just darkness. We do it, I said. We go south. Cheolmin nodded. I'm coming too. Young-soo swallowed hard. Me too, he said. We planned carefully. There would be a joint flight in mid-August. That was our window. All 3 jets would take off together. We could slip away at the same moment. We would fuel up to the maximum before launch. The distance across the border was about 200 kilometers. We believed the fuel would be enough. We had one chance. If we failed, it wasn't just us. It was our parents, our wives, our children. Everyone would be sent to a political prison camp. We knew that. And still, we chose it. Because staying meant another kind of death anyway. The last night came. I looked toward my hometown. Beyond that darkness were my mother's grave, my father, my wife, my children. I might never see that land again. But if I wanted to live, I had to leave it. My hands shook. My knees shook. But my mind didn't. We would fly for freedom. Alive or dead, we would escape that hell. The day arrived. August 15, 2024. Liberation Day. For the country. And for us. Morning felt normal. No one knew this would be the last time. Joint training flight begins today, the commander said. My heart pounded like it would burst. I put on my flight suit. I strapped on my helmet. My gloves didn't hide the shaking. Cheolmin met my eyes. His face was pale. Young-soo bit his lip. Hard. At 1000 a.m., 3 MiG-20s lined up on the runway. My jet. Cheolmin's jet. Young-soo's jet. They looked the same. But to us, they were wings out of hell. The control tower called my name. Ri Seong-woo, prepare for takeoff. Yes, I answered. That was the last thing I ever said to the North Korean Air Force. The engine roared. The runway blurred beneath us. The moment the wheels left the ground, I prayed. To my mother, to my family, for forgiveness. For the first 30 minutes, we flew like normal. North, then east, just like training. The tower didn't suspect a thing. Then the signal went out over the radio. Now, I said. Cheolmin answered, understood. Young-soo said, I'm with you. All 3 jets turned at once. South. We dropped altitude low as we could. To avoid radar, we hugged the earth, so low, the trees felt close. 3 aircraft return immediately. The tower was screaming now. Return, now. We cut the radio. There was no going back. I checked the fuel gauge, about 200 kilometers to the south. The fuel looked enough, but my hands were slick with sweat. I thought about stories from the Korean War. Dogfights, missiles, panic. My whole body shook. My breathing turned shallow. Missile launch evade! Cheolmin shouted. North Korea fired surface-to-air missiles at us. They were trying to kill their own pilots. I yanked the jet into a hard turn. A missile flashed past the side of my cockpit. Everyone okay? I'm good, Young-soo replied. So am I, Cheolmin said. Then I saw it. The DMZ, the demilitarized zone, a scar across the peninsula. Endless fences, endless wire. We crossed the line. A new voice cracked through the air. This is the Republic of Korea Air Force. Identify yourselves and your intent. South Korean fighters appeared. F-15s. Huge. Modern. Terrifying. My voice trembled. This is North Korean Air Force Captain Ri Seong-woo. I am defecting. I repeat, I am defecting to the Republic of Korea. Then a warning light blinked. Fuel. Young-soo's voice burst in. Captain, My fuel is almost gone. My aircraft is acting up. Don't you dare, I shouted. Hold it together. Go ahead without me, he said. I'll try. No, Cheolmin snapped. We go together. A South Korean controller cut in. We will guide you to Suwon Air Base. Follow us. We followed their jets like our lives depended on it. Because they did. The runway came into view. Suwon Air Base. We were going to make it. Or at least, that's what I wanted to believe. The wheels hit the runway. It was 11:47 a.m. on August 15, 2024. Liberation Day. And for us, real liberation. Tears poured out. My grip loosened on the controls. We lived. All 3 aircraft landed. Even Young-Soo's jet held together barely. I shut down the engine and opened the canopy. Air rushed in. It was the same air, same sky, but it didn't feel the same. South Korean troops surrounded us with rifles. Of course they did. We had arrived in enemy aircraft. A loudspeaker ordered, "Raise your hands and come down." I stepped out slowly. Hands up. "I'm defecting," I said again. "We are defecting." The moment my boots touched the ground, my knees gave out. I dropped to the runway. Cheolmin climbed down. Young-Soo too. The 3 of us grabbed each other and cried. Not for a moment. For a long time. A South Korean officer approached. "You did well," he said. "You're safe now." That sentence broke me again. Same language. Same people. But we'd been aiming guns at each other. A soldier offered water. "Would you like some?" I drank. It tasted sweeter than it should have. Then someone offered a choco pie. In the North, that snack is worth a small fortune. Here, it was just handed to me. I took one bite. It was so sweet. My eyes blurred. I thought of Yoon Byul. I couldn't buy her even one. Soon, the NIS arrived, South Korea's National Intelligence Service. "We will verify your identities and investigate," they said. It was procedure. They had to confirm we weren't spies. In the interview room, I asked the question I feared most. What about our families back home? The officer didn't answer right away. He didn't have to. That silence was the answer. Collective punishment. Camps. Cheolmin broke down. "Please," he sobbed. "My daughter is only 8. I cried too. Young-Soo cried too. We had gained freedom. And lost our families. It felt like we survived by throwing them into hell. I'm a murderer," Young-Soo whispered, staring down. "No," Cheolmin said, forcing his voice steady. "We have to live. If we live, we can testify. We can tell the world the truth." Outside the window was South Korean sky. Same sky as the North. But under this sky, there was freedom. Under that sky, there was a prison. Relief and guilt hit at the same time. Like 2 fists. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I kept seeing their faces. Eunpyeol, Keolro, my wife. "I'm sorry," I whispered again and again. After the NIS screening, we were sent to Hanawon. It's a government center where North Korean defectors learn to resettle. Training lasted about 3 months from late August to November. On the first day, an instructor said, "Congratulations. You're free." The word free lodged in my chest. But the thought wouldn't leave. We were free. Our families were not. We learned everyday life. How to use a bank. How to ride a bus. How to visit a hospital. Everything felt unreal. Then came the convenience store. Open 24 hours. I couldn't believe it. Shelves packed with snacks. Choco peas. Chips. Rice balls. In the North, those are treasures. Here, they cost a few thousand won. I stood there for a long time. Then I heard myself whisper, "Yoon Byul should have had this." And I cried. Right there, in the middle of the store. Later, news came through the NIS. My wife, my 2 children, my father, they had been transferred to a prison camp. Cheolmin's family, too. Young-Soo's parents, no one even knew if they were alive. Nightmares started. Yoon Byul asking, "Dad, why did you abandon us?" Cheolro crying, "Dad, I'm hungry." My wife standing behind a fence, eyes full of blame. Young-Soo asked me one night, "Captain, are you okay?" His voice was shaking. "How could I be?" I said. Cheolmin sighed. "But we can't fall apart. If we live," he said, "then it means something." I thought of families separated since the Korean War, people who never met again for 70 years. They must have cried like this. They must have carried this pain. Only then did I understand how cruel division is. At Hanawan, I met other defectors. They told their stories. My son starved to death. My husband was executed in public. My daughter was sold in China. It was endless hell. We have to speak. We have to testify. The world needs to know what North Korea is, so that families like ours, and the millions still inside, have a chance to live. When the 3 months ended, we chose new paths. Cheol-min wanted to open a small restaurant. He wanted to make the food his daughter loved. Young-soo wanted to go to college. He said he wanted to study politics. He wanted to work on reunification. He was 28. He still had hope. I joined a defector human rights group. I wanted to speak. To tell the truth, our first winter in the South arrived. Snow fell. I stared toward the north. Somewhere beyond that horizon, my family was suffering. I imagined them shivering in a camp barrack. It felt like my chest was ripping again. Unbyol Cheollo. I'm sorry. I'll find you, I whispered. Alive or dead, if reunification comes, I will find you. Freedom had a price, and ours was too high. Still, I won't stop. I will live and keep fighting. For them. For the people trapped in that system. By December 2024, it had been 4 months in the South. The 3 of us were processing South Korean citizenship. Cheol-min opened a small restaurant, a cold noodle place. He talked about his daughter every day. Then he cried. Young-soo prepared for university. I want to study political science, he said. I want to research reunification policy. I continued my work with a human rights group. I testified in talks and broadcasts. Even now, people in North Korea are starving. I know it. I still remember my first time in a supermarket. Rice stacked like mountains. A 20-kilogram bag cost about 30,000 won. In the north, that much rice could equal a life. I stood there and cried again. Now I watch YouTube on a smartphone. Anything I want. News, dramas, music. In the north, that would send you to a camp. I sleep with the lights on. I turn on heat whenever I want. Water runs any time. You might think it's normal. To me, it still feels like a miracle. Christmas came. My first Christmas in the South. Lights everywhere. Carols in the streets. People laughing. In the north, that scene doesn't exist. But I couldn't feel happy. Not with my family on the other side. Where is Yoonbyol now? What is Cheol-ro doing? My wife, my father. They were probably freezing somewhere. Another message came through channels. They said my family was in a camp somewhere in North Hamgyong. They said they were still alive. That was all. I dropped to my knees and cried. Just stay alive. That's all I begged. Then I want you to know something. The freedom you take for granted. Speaking freely. Eating freely. Going where you want. Is someone else's impossible dream. More than 20 million people still live in North Korea. They are people like us. Same language. Same blood. The Korean War split us, and it turned life into a border. Will I ever fly over my hometown again? Will I ever cross that sky without fear? I want reunification. Before my generation is gone, I want to hold Yoonbyol again. I want to hold Cheol-ro. I want to look my wife in the eyes and say, I'm sorry. I want to stand at my mother's grave and tell her, Mom Korea is whole again. I want to tell my family this, Yoonbyol, Cheol-ro. I will fight for you until the end, until the day we meet again. I won't give up. Every day, I look at the sky we risked our lives to cross. One day, I believe it will be free, for all of us.